there's one. There's a good one on that buzzbait. Oh, come on, baby. That's a good fish right there, folks. On that persuader buzzbait. Oh, come on. Had to parallel the bank a little bit. Get up there where you was. Oh, look at that. Oh, welcome to Lake Pleasant. Oh my goodness, look at that fish. You just gotta cover some water first thing in the morning. Get out here. Look at that. Just a beaut. You're a beaut. All right, let's let it go. That's just a good quality bass right there. All right, baby, here you go. There you go. Bye-bye. Folks, today we're at Lake Pleasant, and we've got a front blowing through, but still, once in a while, you know, I still love throwing topwater early in the morning and just to see what's going on. A lot of times that kind of tells me what I probably should be doing, but I'll tell you what, I was throwing a big double buzzer by Persuader. Actually, it was this one here. Couldn't get bit, and I decided, you know what? Sometimes this is really good, especially when the wind's blowing, things like that. They want something a little noisier, but I swapped it up to this particular bait, which is a blade within a blade. This is such a cool bait. I love it. It's a lot quieter. It's almost like a critter walking across the water or trying to run across the water is what the sound you get out of this. It's not that big chop, chop, chop. Throwing that with 55-pound test braid line. He hit almost at the boat, but that's what, you know, I figured I'd just go down here and parallel the bank a little bit. And to be real honest with you, I was about ready to say it's time to do something else because we've covered about 2 coves to get that one bite. But that's the thing about reaction and topwater. You just never know when that bite's coming, and a lot of time it'll be that quality bite. So if you're patient enough and you try to play around with your baits a little bit, maybe make them quieter, more noisier, you know, try it a little bit, give it an opportunity. I just tied this on. I haven't made 3 casts with it. So it could be the spot, it could be the bait. We're gonna find out. I'm gonna go down the bank and see what I can't do and catch some of these fish. But buzzbait fishing is a lot of fun to do late in the fall, even summertime a lot of times when these bass start chasing shad and you get up along the bank and start paralleling a little bit, and the explosions you get on a buzzbait is just unbelievable. Now, I do throw the grub tail on my bait because I like that long cast. It makes it heavier, okay? For a real long cast, it helps keep the bait from grabbing the wind so hard and coming back at you and not getting the cast you want. Plus, I love having that little fish tail or grub tail on the end. So when it's waving in the water, it looks like a fish swimming from them or something. So that's a bonus there for me. So what ends up happening is they end up striking this bait a lot more ferociously. There's been times when I was younger, I used to use a lot of trailer hooks. Trailer hooks are good too, and I'm not saying they're not. Trailer hooks are very good for short strikers, but I can take a lot of times on a short striker, put that grub tail on, and they're gonna explode on it a lot harder. So I don't know if they think it's a fish, they know they need to grab it, what, but this is almost my trailer hook for me. But yeah, that's pretty fun. We're gonna go down the bank, see what we can't do, right here at Lake Pleasant, early in the morning, late fall, or early fall, I should say, late summer, but we're here in late September. So we're gonna see what we can't do and catch some fish. Now, the keys to success with a buzzbait is 2 things. Make sure you got a great buzzbait rod. Taipan makes a great buzzbait rod. This rod is great because it'll flex a little bit and give on the tip when you get bit, but it's got a great backbone to it. You see that? So this buzzbait rod made by Taipan is the way to go for me, okay? The other thing that's really important, and the reason why you have to have that tip is because a lot of times when they explode, they catch you off guard and you automatically set the hook, and you have to have a little forgiveness to allow the fish to be able to turn around and get the bait so you can get the hook in the bait. The other thing is with this reel, I'm throwing a fast retrieve reel. You know, you can't get fast enough probably. If you want to get a 7-to-1, or I'm throwing 6.2-to-1 ratio reels. Anything slower than that, throw it away. You want something, you want a fast reel so you don't work yourself to death, okay? And so, because you have to keep this on top of the water. If you're throwing a slow retrieve ratio reel, then you're having to go really fast like this to keep it on top of the water. So you want something that's pretty fast ratio, keep it down, you know. And there's nothing stopping you from every once in a while, if you're bringing it across slow, just giving it a quick little turn and make it sputter or do something like that. You can do that too. You know, you got to figure out what the fish want. There's one. Got my drag set just a little bit too, a little bit too sweet. Not a giant, but slowed down a little bit because I just couldn't get any more bites off that thing. And we tried hard on that buzzbait. And when the going gets tough, the tough go to the Nico rig. And there you have it. He would probably be a keeper barely in a tournament, but we did get bit. Man, it really slowed down, and I've had to slow down. With this weather front coming through, that's been coming through the last few days, it really cooled the weather off, and sometimes it really fires a fish up, but man, right now it really hasn't. It's shut them down, and so we got that one good bite this morning, and it's always worth throwing that top water in the morning for that one good bite, because you luck out, you get the big bite, and sometimes they're going, you know. But we tried a little bit of everything this morning with that buzzbait trying to get it done, but you know, I decided, well, we'll slow down, see if we can get bit, and go to this little Nico rig. It's just a #1 little hook, okay? And then what I've done was I took a metal red O-ring, a small one, and put it on this cut tail right here, okay? Now what we've done is we've stuck a little tiny nail weight in the head where it'll sink it down. So what happens is, and you can see which way I've got the hook going towards the tail. When this thing falls to the bottom and I sit and shake this worm, in theory what happens is this tail starts shaking up like this. So the weight will be down here, and you'll actually, when you shake your rod tip, the tail of the worm will shake with that going like that. So you'll be able to pull up on it instead of down. If you had the hook going the other way, you'd be pulling down, you'd pull up on that. So that's what you want right there. And we're throwing it on light line. 8-pound test, 6 8-pound test line is good. Of course, I'm still using a braid line, you know, the Smackdown. I'm throwing I think the 20 here, and I just tie it on a big leader. So tie on your leader, and what I'm doing is kind of hitting out on these points now. I've got to figure out what these fish are doing. I can't seem to catch them back in the cuts, the shallow cuts. So I'm taking some of these long points, and I'm finding some of that. I'll be looking for brush too, but some of these long points will hold some fish. Now, I've always said when you run into a buoy like this, especially with a bait like this, you could throw out there, they'll use that buoy rope as a place for ambush, because if there's nothing else out there, no twigs, no nothing, and it's just bare, that rope that's taken that, or that cable that's taken down that buoy is a good place for them to hang around. So they'll do that, and it's usually right on the tip of the rocks or whatever, the point that they're keeping you from running up shallow on. So you might go from deep to shallow, like right here, the boat's sitting in 20 foot of water. So right there would probably be so shallow, you'd bump your motor. So what we're doing is just pulling it off from the shallow to the deep on the point. It's basically what we're doing right now. But that was one fish, so we'll move along and see what we can't catch. That little Nico rig's a lot of fun to throw, and when the fishing gets tough, you know, you have your drop shot obviously, but the Nico rig's another good one, or a Ned rig would also be a good one. Throw something small, get bit. That's the whole deal, is you want to get bit. There's one. Nope, I'm just caught up. Oh no, that's fish. Heading out for deep water, baby. What in the world do I have a hold of? Can't tell. Ah, it's a carp. Look at that. Folks, if you want to go carp fishing, all you have to do is throw a Nico rig. I got him in the back. Sorry, but you're done. There, he's gone. Catch anything on this Nico rig, folks. Oh my goodness. I quit. Got that one out of there. He came out of that bush. Boy, I really had to get it deep in that tree to get bit. Come on, son. Man. And that pretty much says it all right there. Oh! Oh, no, 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 no. Get up in here. I wasn't quite sure how I had him hooked. Look at the size of that fish's mouth compared to his body. Look at that mouth. Look at that body. Buzzbait bass. Now, it started sprinkling a little bit on us. The ticket there is that means the low pressure came in. Let me put this fish back. You know, we've been throwing little worms. It got dead for a little while. We couldn't get bit. What happened is we got this low pressure that just came in. We got some rain, a little bit of sprinkle, not a heavy rain, just some sprinkles. That's usually good for the buzzbait. And if that low pressure comes in, they get to biting a little bit, that's good. But I literally had to put that, I went by a couple of trees. I had to throw right out there and almost get hung up in this tree to get bit and reel it as slow as I could and just pop it through the little bushes there, the little tree limbs, and he came out and just kind of sucked it in. He didn't hit it real hard. He just came up and just slurped it right in. And sometimes that's what it takes. You got to get right in that stuff. You might hit a lot of that, but you just got to get right in it. Hey folks, here's a good tip for you. You know, we've been catching some of these fish, quite a few of them, out of the little bushes. It's hard to find them on this lake right now because the water's so low. But if you can find them a few feet off the bank in that 10 to 15 foot of water in that neighborhood where it drops off and you have some drop-offs, that's pretty much how we caught one of the last fish that we caught on the buzzbait. Now here's the deal. You can go down this bank all you want to with your trolling motor and burn up time, but in the essence of time, a lot of times it doesn't hurt to get on your big motor and explore a little bit and find some more areas that have those bushes. And once you kind of find a pattern like that. So instead of burning up a lot of time in what I would call wasted water, you want to go find what the pattern is that you're trying to, that you're actually working for you. So, because there's miles and miles of shoreline without bushes in the right depth of water. So you need to just get around and look a little bit and you'll save yourself some time being right here in the cockpit. You know, today's been a grind so far. We're gonna pick up and make another move. It's just all about timing for a lot of this stuff. But also you have to be aware. We would have never caught this last buzzbait fish if we weren't aware of our weather patterns. And if you have bright blue skies, high clouds, you know, you have a high pressure there, you're better off doing some worming or something like that. And that's what we went to for a while. The bite was still really slow. But man, when that low pressure comes in, you get a little sprinkle like we had for a little while, that's the time to pick up your reaction, and that's what we did. We started picking up the reaction and we caught that other fish. You know, on a lake like this, what makes it so unpleasant, and I love Lake Pleasant, but what makes it so unpleasant is sometimes it's just a grind, and you gotta move and groove a little bit. You know, you'll have to cover a lot of water, even with that buzzbait. There's gonna be days you come out here and you just crush them. And there's gonna be other days where you get one great bite, and then you got to go down the bank another, I don't know, mile it seems like before you get another bite, trying to figure out what the pattern is. We've ran across a lot of bushes and things like that, but here's what I will say. You saw what we did with the worm. Yeah, okay, we caught a carp, but we caught the littler fish. Pick up that reaction bait. If you're willing to stick it out and you're willing to catch less fish a lot of times, sometimes you can get that bigger bite on the reaction and you're gonna throw your arm off, but you know, cover some water. But it seems like the bigger fish are coming off that. Oh, there he is right there. He came out of that bush. Yeah! That's what we were waiting for. Oh, no. No, you don't. No, you don't. All right. 2 feet from the boat, man, right there on the end of there. Then there you have it, folks. Little Persuader Buzzbait bass here at Lake Pleasant. Oh, your heart stops every time you come to one of these bushes. And what's really crazy is a lot of times if you kind of drift in, make sure you wait until you can cast through that stuff and bring it through. Your odds are so much better than hitting the tip of it and warning them that you're here. So you want to make sure you're able to cast past it, and your odds will become a lot better. We've covered a lot of water today, folks, to catch these fish, but let me tell you something. Sometimes there's nothing more gratifying than putting at least a piece of the puzzle together that helps you catch fish, and maybe some bigger ones. In saying that, if you're a tournament fisherman or something like that, you're always hoping that your puzzle catches the bigger ones in somebody else's puzzle, because remember, no matter what you're doing out here, there's always more than one piece of the puzzle that gets put together, and maybe somebody else will catch them bigger, you know, on their techniques. But in saying that, there's nothing more gratifying than finding a little pattern on your own, doing your own thing, and that's what you can get out and do. And I hope we helped you learn how to establish a little bit of a pattern today on a lake that can be really tough. Make no mistake, we covered a lot of water today, but I started getting rid of the water that wasn't doing me any good, which was the blank water with no trees. If you find the little trees, a lot of times bass love to hang out in that stuff. So there's nothing wrong with just pulling the trolling motor up and kind of idling around until you find some of this stuff in the water. And if you notice, that's an isolated bush. Look at this. There's nothing else around here but that bush. So where are those bass gonna go? To that tree. Could we have thrown a Cinco in there, caught the fish? We might could have. But man, there's nothing more than explosive topwater bass, man, on these buzzbaits. And you know what? We started with a real noisy crankbait, or buzzbait, but it didn't really seem like they were going after it, and it might have spooked them more. So we went to something that this blade within a blade right here that Persuader makes is a lot quieter. And you still get the effect of a buzzbait, but it's not nearly as noisy. And when you're hitting isolated stuff like this, it's perfect for that. So we're calling them out of there, no problem. 10 to 15 foot of water today were those bass. Had a blast with you today. Thanks for joining us on the show. Hey, we'll catch you next week. I'm Johnny Johnson. Now, see, that's what I'm talking about, folks.